Everybody, can you guys all hear me?
Go ahead.
Susan, you need to let Wayne in as a presenter as well.
Just one moment. Let me just make sure that he is here. Just one moment. I'm just going to look for him.
No problem. No problem.
Brad, good morning. It's Thomas.
Good morning, Thomas. How are you?
Really good, thank you. How are things in Calgary?
It's a beautiful, brisk 5 degrees today, and it's wonderful out.
Good. No snow on the ground?
It's mostly all melted away, so that's very nice.
Great.
Susan, I can start the video if you find Wayne, and then we'll
yeah, if you could start, please,
Yeah.
and then I'll bring Wayne as soon as he jumps on. Thank you so much.
Okay. So thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Brad. I'm the local territory manager here in Western Canada for BONA. And we're going to start with a quick video here with Wayne Highlander, our national adhesive manager. He's based out of Nashville. And then from there, we're going to actually just switch into a presentation. But I'm going to share my screen here and show you this video. Just give me one moment here.
And turn on the sound.
Yes.
National Sales Manager for BONA. I think we can all agree that there's been a shift in the industry to wider platforms. It is also true that many manufacturers now include nail glue assist in their guidelines for warranty. The National Wood Flooring Association.
The sound is not on. Please pause that.
Right.
So you need to turn on the screen computer sound. So when you share your screen, at the bottom of your screen share, you'll see share sound. So when you share your screen, you'll see the option to show the screen, the whiteboard, the iPad, the PowerPoint, the video, and it'll also give you an option at the very, very bottom of those choices.
I see it.
Sound. Okay.
I see it. Yeah. Okay. I'm just.
Hi, I'm Wayne Highlander, National Sales Manager for BONA Adhesives. I think we can all agree that there's been a shift in this industry to wider and wider plank flooring. It is also true that many manufacturers now include nail glue assist in their guidelines for their warranty. The National Wood Flooring Association has seen a spike in complaints about noisy, squeaky, popping floors. They've included new guidelines to address that in the 2019 installation guidelines. And by the way, if you don't have that new updated guidelines, at the end of this video, I'll give you my email address. Feel free to email me and I will shoot those over there to you. In this video, I'm going to go over some different methods of nail glue assist. There's sometimes some confusion or misinformation, and sometimes it means different things to different people. So I'm going to go over that. In a contractor poll in the Wood Floor magazine, 66% of complaints were related to noisy, popping, squeaking floors, gapping, and moisture-related issues. Flooring retailers that adapt to the change experience less complaints, less callbacks, less schedule disruption, and frankly, happier customers. Flooring retailers are already challenged with labor shortages and tighter schedules. Retailers that don't adapt are vulnerable to more callbacks, more inspections, profit, and time stealers. By providing nail glue assist methods with BONA adhesives, there will be less callbacks, less schedule disruption, less profit stealers, and happier clients. You will be able to provide your clients with the industry's only Green Guard Gold adhesive with 0 VOCs. A major concern, and I installed for 30 years of my life, so I get this. A major concern of doing a nail glue assist is getting adhesive on the floor. BONA adhesive is exceptionally easy to remove. Unlike a urethane, even if you don't remove it, if you don't see it overnight or the second day or third day, it's still very easily removed off the floor. We will not etch the finish. With a urethane, even if you can remove it, a lot of times you etch the finish, now you have a sheen issue, and now you're looking at board replacements. Also, unlike a big box store, BONA adhesive is specifically designed with the proper elongation and shear strength for those wide plank floors. Be very leery of using what I call jack of all trade adhesives that again, they don't have the proper elongation, or sometimes they're too rigid, and they're specifically not made for the hardwood flooring industry. So complying with the NWFA and manufacturer guidelines doesn't have to be a messy urethane that's hard to clean up with high VOCs or a cheap box store jack of all trades adhesives that crystallize over time and they shear off because they're too rigid and they're not intended for this industry. You don't have to settle for an adhesive that can etch the finish. If the installer doesn't have to catch any specific or a speck of adhesive they left on the floor, with the BONA adhesive, again, it's going to be so much easier to work with. Architects, flooring manufacturers, past floor of the year winners, lead builders, contractors all across the country are using and speccing BONA adhesives. For the National Wood Flooring Association guidelines, email me at wayne.highlander@bona.com. That's WAYNE.HIGHLANDER@bona.com. Now I'm going to go over these 4 different methods of nail glue assist. And I'll start with this one right here. This is a typical plank floor. This is an acceptable method where about an inch away from the butt joint to the end joint, they put the adhesive across here. On the groove side, they're going to put a bead all the way across along the groove side, about an inch back from the groove. And again, at the end joint here, they'll put another one. Now, the reason for this, and the reason why the NWFA is going to wider and wider plank floor, going to nail glue assist, the wider the plank, the less fasteners you're able to use per square foot. Okay? It's a long way across these planks to only rely on the staple or cleat on the tongue and the engagement of the tongue and groove on the other side. Okay, so you're also some of these subfloors, OSB type subfloors, don't necessarily handle seasonal changes very well. These little floor runner nail guns with the thin gauge cleats or staples don't hold like you would like them to hold, and it's really a recipe for a nail glue assist. So this method is very popular. Another method is the serpentine method. Okay, be aware that when you're using this method for a nail glue assist, you want to make sure you get within like an inch or so of both sides. Okay, and again, you want to get some close to the end joints right here. And this method is also fine to work with, and I'm going to tell you what they all have in common in just a minute. The method of using 3 or parallel adhesive to the board, going parallel with the board. In this case, they use 3, but you want to make sure you have them within an inch or so of both sides if you do this. And of course, this is very popular as well, where you use perpendicular lines across the board every 6 or 8 inches. And again, you want to get within about an inch or so from either side of the board. Now, what they all have in common. These are considered nail glue assist, okay? So with the emphasis on assist. So in this case, because you're not using a full trowel, the primary installation method is the nailing. So you want to make sure you stay on the nailing schedule. So if the installer, the flooring professional, is laying this floor with this type of nail glue assist, you'd want to make sure you stay on your guidelines for that particular floor. Now, there is another type of nail glue assist. if the installer is using a full trowel method like this. Now this becomes the primary installation method, okay? So in this case, you don't necessarily have to stay on the nailing schedule, okay? Because this is now your primary adhesive, I mean, this is your primary installation method. Now, some installers will still stay on the schedule. For instance, if they're going with a wide plank floor, okay, in that case, they may also elect to stay on the same nailing schedule. But you don't have to when you go into this method. Be aware also with a BONA adhesive, if you're installing on a multi-floor, if the second floor or if a condo situation, in that case, if you're doing a full glue down like this, you do not want to use the nails or staples because BONA adhesive has a tremendous IIC rating and an STC rating. So for sound deadening properties, you want to decouple the floor from the substrate. So in that case, you don't want to use staples or cleats, okay? Many installers are using the BONA sausages because all the other four methods that I showed you is a super economical way of installing. Does a phenomenal job. It has tremendous shear strength using the sausages that come in it. And again, one of the concerns when you're doing an elbow assist is getting the adhesive on the floor. You've got the compressor, you've got the hose, and it's just, you know, it's very easy to do. These sausages are so user friendly. I'm going to give you my email address again, and if you want, I can send you one. You can put some adhesive on a board. You can do the test yourself. Come back the next day or so, see how easily it is to remove. Again, it's Wayne.
All right, thank you, everybody. That's the video portion of our presentation. I'm going to hopefully Wayne can get on here. Susan, I haven't been able to see him get into the call here, but I'm going to jump right into our PowerPoint presentation, and hopefully we can get Wayne on as well.
Okay, so I believe that he is on. Just one moment. So go ahead, continue on while we figure this technical difficulties out.
All right, well, thank you for watching the video portion of our presentation. We're going to talk a little bit about moisture mitigation, and at the very end of the presentation, we're going to talk about one of our products that we're using for moisture mitigation with the sausages that Wayne was talking about before. Wood and moisture, they can live happily together. They're you know, when there is moisture in a subfloor or moisture in the environment, they can live happily together. And where we look at this area here is in this green section in the middle. This is the temperature and relative humidity that wood is happy living in, to have a lot less issues of moisture with shrinking, cracking, popping, those sorts of things. So it's really important to make sure that when you're installing wood, that it is installed in the right environment. In our beautiful country here in Canada, we've got a lot of climate, very specific, regional specific climate variations. You know, where I live now outside of Calgary, the temperature can change by about 30 degrees in 2 days, like it just did here. You know, it's I'm not going to read these slides off word for word, as I know everybody can read, but you know, it's really interesting to note that a wood floor that goes from 30 degrees to 100 degrees moves only half as much as a floor that goes from 40 to 45% RH. So, I mean, that really tells us how drastic of a impact moisture has over temperature. Although temperature does affect the wood, but moisture is that big point there. You know, it's really important to align the wood and the to the workspace. First, you're going to prepare the space for the flooring, and then from that point, you're going to then prepare the wood to be into the space. 90%, a recent report stated that 90% of wood failures are either related to moisture or poor leveling. You know, it's interesting to note that, you know, we don't usually, it's not usually a wood floor that fails. It's usually the the homeowner or the installer or the store that's failed the floor because we're not doing our due diligence and checking for issues. We never want to install a wood floor over a known moisture issue. Obviously, if there is if there's a flood in the basement, or there's a or some sort of issue that we know that's not taken care of, we need to deal with that first. That being said, there are ways to mitigate the moisture that we know about that is that's in the plywood or in the concrete, and we'll talk about that at the very end with a product that BONA manufactures. So it's always, you know, when we go into a job site, it's always very important to identify why we have a moisture issue. Just saying that we have one, and that's not enough. Why should we test? Well, I mean, you know, the manufacturer's warranty will usually state from reputable wood flooring manufacturers that moisture testing is required. The NWFA states that strip flooring needs to be within 4% moisture content between the wood flooring and the wood floor, the wooden subfloor that it's being installed over. And plank flooring, which honestly is most of the flooring that we see installed nowadays, needs to be within 2% moisture content of the wooden subfloor. You know, we cannot protect, we can't mitigate risk into situations that we have no control over and we haven't tested. Interesting point here. I mean, if you look at a hardwood floor failure due to moisture or any other issue, on average, it's going to cost 7 times the cost of the original installation to replace that floor. By the time you've ripped it out, you've re-prepped the concrete, you've gotten the whole site back together, and then you've installed the floor again. And again, why should we test? Not everybody's going to do it, but if you are testing, it's going to set you apart from the other guys. Moisture issues that are on site. I mean, it's amazing to think that, you know, there's so many things that we can't control. So precipitation, dew point, ambient humidity, and then the rest of the list there. You know, there's if you're on a commercial job site and there's a guy down in the hallway installing tile, you know, he's gonna be creating moisture in your unit by his saws operating in that hallway with all the moisture that he's going to introduce to the environment. So all of these things need to be controlled. Last but not least, I mean, this is what we're going to talk about here with moisture mitigation. This is our BONA R540 moisture barrier. So this is a roll-on moisture barrier that we use in conjunction with our sausage adhesives. It's a single component product. There are some other competitive products out there that that you have to mix. So once you mix them up, they're charged up and they're ready to go. But if you do decide that if you don't use the whole jug, or you don't get back, or you don't finish the job in time, the rest of that jug is a waste. Interesting to think about when most floors were strip floor, we used felt paper, or we would use aqua bar, or we would use wax paper as a moisture barrier. But as the planks have gotten wider, we cannot use these papers. So really the only way we can do that is to use a product like R540 and roll it out over the subfloor and then glue on top of it. Because, I mean, let's be realistic, the moisture problems really didn't go anywhere. So as I mentioned before, when we were talking about testing, BONA R540 will protect up to 20% moisture content and allow, as soon as the product is dry, you can nail over top of it. You do have to wait overnight in order to glue on top of it. But this is going to prevent a lot of construction delays as far as insurance jobs or multifamily construction, where the builders are in a huge rush to get the project going, and they got the roof on 2 weeks ago. We know there's no moisture problem. It's just because the house has just gotten buttoned up. The wood gets delivered to site at 6 or 7%. The plywood's reading 12%. Most installers that are testing aren't going to install that product. They're going to say, well, we can't do this. But yeah, now you can, as long as that number of moisture content is under 20%. When it's used on concrete, we pair it together with the BONA R851 adhesive, and we're protected up to 95% and 18 pounds of moisture. Anything over and above this mark, the NWFA would consider standing water. So there are manufacturers out there that say that you don't need to test. Generally, this isn't going to line up with the wood floor manufacturers guidelines. So this, at BONA, we do say you do need to test, because we don't want the moisture to be above these limitations. Because if you look at a product that says that you don't need to test, I'm sure there's, as Tom Hobbs mentioned, with other manufacturers' warranties, there's lots of stipulations in these companies that have unlimited protection, unlimited this and unlimited that. We do have a limitation, but it is very high. With that, I'm just going to, I'll gladly give you guys all my contact info after. We're going to stop sharing my screen here.
Great. And I see that Wayne is now part of the presenter. So Wayne, if you could turn on your camera, and I will open up the Q&A and chat, and I will scan the attendee list for questions. So I don't see any questions. Are you able to turn on your camera, Wayne?
No, I don't see where I.
Oh, so at the bottom left of your Zoom screen, float over the bottom, and then you'll see that the microphone and camera button are there on the left side. Just turn on video. It's called Start Video, is the little icon on the left bottom there. Just float over the black Zoom screen until you see the icons at the bottom left.
Don't have it.
You guys all saw what Wayne looked like in the video.
Yeah.
As long as we can hear him, we're good. Oh, there you go.
There you
go. All
I knew we could figure it out. Okay,
Yeah.
so I
Wayne,
don't see any questions, gentlemen.
Susan, I had a couple questions texted to me, actually, just on a personal message. For one of them's for Wayne here, actually. Wayne, can you shed a little bit more light on unlimited warranties and kind of what that means, and why doesn't BONA have unlimited warranties if our adhesive is so great as we know it is?
Yeah, well, it's a good question, and it comes up from time to time. And yeah, I lost internet about 10 minutes before this started, so my apologies. Yeah, on the unlimited warranty. Well, in order to achieve an unlimited warranty, there has to be a lot of things that line up very well. And one of them is the subfloor prep better be absolutely positively pristine. And you need to have 100% coverage on the between the substrate and the finished floor in many cases. Even the way that some installers install, if they're snapping lines, and what a lot of installers will do is they'll lay right up to the line, and then when they take off again, they stay just shy of the line. And there's a lot of ways that you're not going to get 100% coverage. So, and I installed for 30 years, and so I understand the challenges trying to get that 100% coverage. And I just feel like it sets up a lot of installers up for failure. And best practices will always be, as long as I've been in this trade and long after I'm gone from this trade, is always going to be to test the slab first. I always say that if you don't test the slab ahead of time, then really everything that happens after that is kind of guesswork. Just like sand and finished, and I would never give someone a bid on a sand and finish, site finish job with wall-to-wall carpet down. I also, earlier in my career, I was in the construction industry, and seen so many things that can happen to concrete that we can't even see with the naked eye before we get to the job. And the only way we would know what was going on with that is if we test. So again, I'm a big proponent of testing, and honestly, you know, if you're not getting 100% coverage, with most manufacturers, you're now defaulting to a 3 pounds and 75 RH moisture protection,
Perfect.
which is we know is really not much protection at all. So
Thank you. I'm sure that a number of people on the call would really appreciated that explanation of unlimited warranties. If anybody has any other questions, let us know, or gladly give me a call or an email. My phone number is 604-818-7055. My email is just brad.scott@bona.com. And thank you guys all for attending today, and look forward to hearing the rest of the presenters today.